Now let me tell you something that might just change the way you see yourself and the way the world sees you. Women, listen closely. They are extremely attracted to men who know how to detach. And I don't mean cold, heartless, or distant. No, I'm talking about a man who is so rooted in himself, so unshaken by the noise around him, that he doesn't beg for approval, doesn't chase validation, and doesn't crumble when things don't go his way. That kind of presence, it draws people in like a magnet. Let me slow this down for you, because this right here is something too many men miss. A man who knows how to detach. He doesn't have to walk into a room and announce his presence. He doesn't have to wear the flashiest suit, drive the loudest car, or shout the loudest words. His very presence is enough. His calm is enough. His silence is enough. Because true confidence, it doesn't scream, it doesn't need to. It whispers, and yet it's heard everywhere. See, when you detach, you are telling the world, I don't need to prove myself to you. I don't need to dance for approval. And women, they notice that instantly. They feel it. Because when most men walk into a room, they're trying too hard. They're looking around for who's watching them, checking if their outfit impresses, if their words sound clever, if their smile is being noticed. And you know what that energy screams? Insecurity. It screams desperation. But the detached man, he sits back, he observes. He speaks when he has something to say, not when he needs to fill the silence. He doesn't fidget, he doesn't force, he doesn't bend himself into shapes to be accepted. He just is. And that kind of stillness, that grounded energy, it pulls people toward him without him lifting a finger. Now I want you to think about this. How many times have you been around someone who talks too much? Someone who brags about what they've done, what they've bought, where they've been. Do you lean in closer or do you pull back? Most of the time you pull back. Because when someone is trying too hard to prove, it takes away their power. But then you meet that man who doesn't have to say much at all, and yet when he does open his mouth, everybody stops. Everybody listens. Why? Because silence before the words gives weight to the words. Detachment creates that silence. It creates that patience. And women, they're wired to sense that. They're wired to feel energy before words. You could be saying everything right, but if your energy says, I need your approval, I need your attention, I need you to like me, then you've already lost. On the other hand, if your energy says, I'm good either way, I'm complete with or without, then you've already won, because nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't need. Let me be clear, detachment is not arrogance. It's not walking around like you're above everybody else. No, it's walking around with the quiet knowledge that your worth isn't up for debate. It's already settled. It's already signed. You're not waiting on a vote. You're not waiting on applause. You've already cast the only vote that matters. You believed in yourself. And when you carry that belief, when you walk with that certainty, people notice. Women notice. They're drawn to it because it's rare. Now here's the thing. You cannot fake this. You can fake confidence for a little while. You can fake charm for a little while. But true detachment, that comes from inside. It comes from doing the work, from knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you're building. When a man has purpose, when he has a mission bigger than impressing somebody, he doesn't get lost in small things. And that's why he stands out. I'll tell you this, life will test you. People will ignore you. Some will walk away from you. Some will try to play with your emotions. But if you are grounded, if you are detached, you won't break, you won't fold. You'll stand still and let the storm pass. And when it passes, you'll still be there, calm as ever. That strength, that peace, it's magnetic. Because in a world full of noise, chaos, and desperation, the one who is calm becomes the center. And if you're sitting here thinking, well, how do I start? You start small. Stop over-explaining yourself. Stop apologizing for who you are. Stop rushing to fill every silence. Sit in it. Own it. Let people lean into your stillness. Let them come to you. Practice being unmoved. Practice walking away when respect isn't given. Practice smiling even when things don't go your way. And watch how people's behavior changes toward you. Because here's the truth. You don't chase attraction. You create it. You don't force respect. You earn it. And you don't beg for confidence. You build it. Detachment is the proof that you already have it. Now let me ask you this. Are you going to keep scrambling for attention? Or are you ready to sit back, detach, and let attention come to you? Let me take this deeper, because this right here separates the men who are respected from the men who are forgotten. Detachment means you are not controlled by fear of loss. Now think about that for a moment. Fear of loss is what drives most men into weakness. It makes them cling, it makes them beg, it makes them compromise their dignity, their standards, and their peace just to hold on to something or someone that might not even be good for them. And that, my friends, is exactly what kills attraction. See, a woman can feel when a man is scared to lose her. She can feel it in the way he checks his phone every 2 minutes, waiting on her reply. She can feel it in the way he avoids standing up for himself just so he won't upset her. She can feel it in the way he bends his values just to keep her happy. And at first, maybe she enjoys that power, but deep down, it doesn't inspire respect, because respect cannot exist where fear rules. Now let's flip it. A man who is detached, A man who is not controlled by that fear, he sends a completely different message. His energy says, I would love for you to be in my life, but I don't need you in order to be whole. I will not sacrifice my peace just to keep your presence. And that right there changes everything. Because when you're not afraid to lose, you stand stronger. You speak your truth. You draw boundaries. You command respect without ever demanding it. And that's where the attraction grows. Because women are not drawn to desperation. They're drawn to strength. They're not drawn to the man who is terrified of being left. They're drawn to the man who knows he'll be all right regardless. That kind of calm assurance, it's powerful. It's magnetic. It creates the kind of presence that makes people want to stay. Not because you trapped them, but because they chose to. Now think about your own life. How many times have you let fear control you? How many times did you stay in situations, in relationships, in friendships even, because you were scared to lose them? And what happened? Did that fear make things better? No, it made you smaller, it made you weaker, it drained your power and left you empty. But the moment you stopped being afraid, the moment you said, if this leaves me, it wasn't meant for me, you felt stronger, didn't you? You felt lighter. That's the power of detachment. Here's what's real. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't love. It doesn't mean you're cold. It means you love with freedom. You care without clinging. You stand without collapsing. You give without begging. And that balance, that maturity, it changes how people treat you. Because when a woman sees you're not afraid of losing her, she respects you more. She listens closer. She values your presence because she knows you are not bound to her approval. And let me tell you, fear of loss doesn't just kill attraction in relationships, it kills progress in life. Some men are scared to lose jobs, so they never demand their worth. Some men are scared to lose friends, so they never stand in their truth. Some men are scared to lose comfort, so they never chase their dreams. But the ones who detach, the ones who say, if it leaves me, it wasn't mine to begin with. They're the ones who rise. They're the ones who inspire. They're the ones who get chosen over and over because their courage makes them rare. I want you to picture this. Two men side by side. One is terrified his woman will leave him. So he bends, he apologizes for things he didn't do. He sacrifices his self-respect just to hold on. The other one loves his woman deeply, but he knows he'll survive if she walks away. He knows his mission continues, his life continues, his worth continues. Now tell me, who do you respect more? Who do you believe she respects more? The answer is clear, and here's where it gets powerful. You don't even have to say it out loud. You don't have to tell a woman, I'm not afraid to lose you. She'll see it in the way you move. She'll feel it in your energy. She'll notice it when you don't flinch at silence, when you don't beg for attention, when you don't fold under pressure. She'll see that you value yourself enough to never let fear be your master. Because the truth is simple, if you let fear control you, you'll always be chasing. But if you detach from fear, you'll always be attracting. So I'll ask you, are you going to keep living in fear of losing, or are you ready to stand in the kind of strength that makes people want to stay? Men who detach don't chase. And that right there is one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn. Because the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop running after people who don't see your value, something incredible happens. Life starts chasing you. Energy shifts. The whole room feels different when you step into it because you're no longer moving from a place of lack, you're moving from a place of abundance. See, when a man chases, he's putting himself in a position of need. He's saying, I am incomplete without you. I need your attention, I need your validation, I need your time, I need your approval. And when you move like that, what do you create? Pressure, stress, desperation. And people feel it. They may not always say it, but they feel it. Women feel it most of all. And instead of pulling them closer, it pushes them away. But a man who detaches, a man who chooses not to chase, he's not broadcasting need, he's broadcasting value. He's not screaming, pick me, pick me. He's saying, I've already picked myself, you can join if you want, but I'm moving forward either way. And that energy, that certainty, it's magnetic. It doesn't just attract women, it attracts respect, it attracts opportunities, it attracts everything that flows towards strength. I want you to think about this in real terms. Imagine two men. One is running behind someone, texting every 5 minutes, changing who he is to get approval, rearranging his life just to keep the other person interested. The other one, he's focused on his mission. He's working on his craft. He's building his future. He's pouring into his health, his career, his purpose. He has space for love, yes, but love is not the center of his existence. Now tell me, who do you respect more? Who do you believe attracts more naturally? It's obvious. The one who doesn't chase, the one who lives with purpose. Because when you have purpose, people are drawn to you. They want to be part of what you're building. They want to walk alongside you, not because you begged them to, but because you inspired them to. And that is the essence of detachment. It's not walking away from life. It's walking into the life you're meant to live without begging anyone to come along. Now let me clear something up. Detachment doesn't mean ignoring people. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you never give affection, never give time, never give energy. It means you give it without casing it back. You offer it without expecting it to define your worth. You live from abundance, not desperation. And when you move like that, the chase disappears because everything you truly need begins to flow toward you. Here's the secret. People are drawn to certainty. People are drawn to confidence. People are drawn to direction. A man who doesn't chase has all three. He is certain of who he is. He is confident in his own value. He is moving in a clear direction. And that combination makes others want to follow, makes others want to connect, makes others want to be chosen by him. Now let me ask you this. How many of you have wasted time chasing people who never valued you? How many of you gave your energy, your love, your focus, your money even, to someone who didn't give back? And after all that chasing, what did it leave you with? Emptiness, regret, frustration. But the moment you pulled back, the moment you stopped running, the moment you said, if you don't see me, that's your loss, suddenly things began to shift, didn't they? That's no accident. That's the power of not chasing. And let me tell you, women know this. They respect the man who doesn't chase because he's rare. Too many men fold the moment they feel attention slipping away. Too many men beg. Too many men lose themselves. But the man who doesn't chase, he is saying, I am the prize too. He's saying, I'm not desperate, I'm disciplined. And discipline is more attractive than desperation will ever be. Life itself responds to discipline. When you chase opportunities too hard, they slip away. But when you work, when you prepare, when you focus, opportunities come knocking. The same is true with relationships. Stop running behind people, and you'll be amazed at who starts running towards you. So here's the challenge. Stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop proving. Stand firm. Focus on your mission, your health, your growth, your purpose. Build yourself into the kind of man that people want to be around, not because you pulled them in, but because you pulled yourself up. And when you do that, love will find you. Respect will find you. Opportunity will find you. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop running after what you think you need and start building yourself into the kind of man that everything you want naturally runs toward? When you learn to detach, something powerful happens. You gain control over your emotions. And I don't mean you stop feeling, no. You still feel, but you don't get played by those feelings. You don't let them run the show. You don't let them drag you into places that weaken you. A man who is too invested in every little reaction, every word, every mood swing, he loses his strength without even realizing it. He becomes unstable. And instability, it pushes people away. But when a man is detached, when he stays grounded, calm, steady, no matter what's happening around him, that energy pulls people in. Because stability feels safe. And safety, let me tell you, is deeply attractive. Think about it like this. Imagine you're with someone who reacts to everything, one wrong word, and they explode. One delayed text and they panic. One small disagreement and they're threatening to leave. You can't relax around that kind of energy. You can't trust it. It's fragile. But then you meet someone who doesn't get rattled. Someone who listens, who breathes, who responds instead of reacting. You can feel the difference, can't you? That calmness creates trust. That steadiness makes you want to stay close. That's the power of detachment. It gives you control over yourself, and that control makes others feel safe in your presence. And safety is not boring, it's magnetic, because when a woman looks at a man, she doesn't just see how he looks today, she asks herself, can I trust him tomorrow? Can I lean on him when life gets hard? Can he handle the storm without falling apart? A detached man answers all those questions without ever saying a word. His composure says it for him. His calm energy says, no matter what comes, I will not break. That's the kind of strength that builds attraction and respect at the same time. Now, don't get it twisted. Detachment doesn't mean you suppress everything. It doesn't mean you walk around emotionless like a robot. It means you are in control of what you feel, not the other way around. You can still love, still laugh, still cry if you need to. But you don't let those emotions dictate your value, your actions, or your peace. You don't lose yourself in someone else's storm. You stay grounded in your own center, and that's where the respect grows. Because too many men today are being pulled in every direction by emotion. A woman pulls back slightly and he panics. She tests his patience and he snaps. She withholds a little attention and he loses his balance, begging to be noticed. That kind of instability, it destroys attraction. But a man who stays composed, who doesn't overreact, who holds his ground with grace, he earns respect without forcing it. Because women, people in general, are naturally drawn to the one who cannot be easily shaken. I'll tell you this, life is always going to test you. You will face disappointment. You will deal with rejection. You will run into disrespect. And if every test knocks you down, you'll never be taken seriously. But if you can stand calm in the storm, if you can hold steady while others lose control, people will start looking at you differently. They'll start trusting you. They'll start respecting you. And yes, they'll start being drawn to you in ways you can't even imagine. So let me ask you, how do you practice this kind of detachment? You start by slowing down. Don't react so quickly. Don't let every little thing trigger you. Take a breath, step back, ask yourself, does this really deserve my peace? 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. You practice walking away from drama. You practice keeping your voice steady even when you're frustrated. You practice standing still when someone tries to shake you. And little by little, you become unshakable. And here's the beautiful thing. When you master your emotions, when you stop letting fear, jealousy, anger, or insecurity run your life, you begin to shine differently. People sense it before you even open your mouth. They see it in the way you carry yourself. They feel it in the way you look at them. That calm energy says, I'm in control of me. And let me tell you, there is nothing more attractive than a man who is in control of himself. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how loud you are, how flashy you are, or how much you try to impress. It's about how stable you are when the storm hits. And when people know they can count on your strength, when they know you won't crumble under pressure, they don't just admire you, they're drawn to you. So I'll leave you with this. Are you going to keep letting your emotions control you, or are you ready to stand so calm, so steady, so unshaken that the world can't help but be drawn to your presence? When you learn how to detach, something powerful happens. You raise your value, because what you're really saying to the world is this: I don't need you to tell me who I am. I already know. And that right there is where true attraction begins. See, when you rely on people's approval to feel valuable, you're giving away your power. You're putting your worth in someone else's hands. And let me tell you, that's a dangerous place to be. Because people's opinions change. Their moods shift. Their loyalty can waver. And if your worth is tied to them, then your value rises and falls with their emotions. That's not strength, that's weakness. But the man who detaches, the man who owns his value, he's not swayed by applause, and he's not broken by silence. He knows who he is whether people clap or not. He knows his worth whether people recognize it or ignore it. And because he doesn't need validation, everything about him comes across differently. He walks differently. He talks differently. He moves with the kind of quiet assurance that says, I know I belong here. And that energy is undeniable. Now I want you to think about something. Who do you respect more? The person who's always begging to be included, always looking around for approval, always trying to prove they're worthy of being noticed? Or the person who walks into a room unbothered, steady, carrying himself like he's already approved by himself? It's no contest. Respect goes to the one who owns his worth. And that's exactly what women feel. They see the difference instantly. A man who doesn't own his value will bend himself just to be accepted. He'll compromise his principles. He'll shrink himself. He'll go along with things he doesn't believe in just to keep someone's attention. And in doing that, he lowers his own stock. But a man who detaches, who knows his worth is not up for negotiation, he stands firm. He doesn't settle. He doesn't need to force anything. He doesn't crumble when someone doesn't approve. And that's what makes him attractive, because his self-respect sets the tone. And let's be clear, this doesn't just apply to women, it applies to life. Opportunities respect men who respect themselves. People trust men who trust themselves. Doors open for men who walk in already knowing they belong. But if you come into every situation begging to be seen, begging to be chosen, people sense it and they pull away. Because desperation doesn't attract, it repels. Value, on the other hand, attracts. Here's the truth: when you detach from needing approval, you actually become freer. You can say no without fear. You can walk away from disrespect without hesitation. You can hold your ground without apology. And every time you do that, you reinforce your value, not just to the world, but to yourself. You start living as though your worth is already settled, already established. And that's when the respect grows. That's when the attraction deepens. That's when opportunities start finding you. But let me tell you something important. You can't fake this. You can't just say, I know my worth, if deep down you don't believe it. It has to come from within. It has to come from building yourself, from disciplining yourself, from following through on your word, from setting standards and actually living by them. That's where real confidence is born. That's where real value is felt. And when you live like that, people don't have a choice. They see it, they feel it, they respond to it. And here's the thing: when you raise your value, not everyone will like it. Some people will be intimidated. Some will be uncomfortable because they can't manipulate you anymore. But the ones who matter, the ones who truly respect strength, they'll be drawn closer. And that's the beauty of detachment. You stop worrying about losing the wrong ones, because you know the right ones will always stay. Now let me ask you to look at your own life. How many times have you lowered yourself just to fit in? How many times have you stayed quiet when you should have spoken up, all because you didn't want to lose approval? How many times did you settle for less just to keep somebody around? And how did it feel afterward? Empty, didn't it? Because every time you shrink for someone else, you lose a piece of yourself. But every time you stand firm, every time you choose self-respect, every time you detach from needing their acceptance, you gain strength, you gain value, you rise. So I'll leave you with this: your value is not up for debate. You don't need anyone to validate it. You don't need anyone to co-sign it. You don't need anyone to give you permission. The moment you decide your worth is already settled, the world will follow your lead. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop begging for approval and start walking in the kind of value that makes people respect you without a word? When a man learns how to detach, something else begins to work in his favor. He creates mystery. And mystery, my friends, is one of the most powerful forces of attraction. Because when you're not always available, when you're not predictable, when you're not out here broadcasting your every thought, every move, every emotion, you create space. And space, that little bit of distance, that pause, it makes people curious. It makes them lean in. It makes them wonder about you. And curiosity, that's what keeps interest alive. Now here's the problem. Too many men kill mystery before it even has a chance to exist. They hand over all their power by giving everything too quickly. Constant texting, constant availability, constant reassurance, always explaining themselves, always chasing, always making sure the other person knows exactly where they are, what they're doing, how they feel. And at first, it seems like you're being caring, like you're building a connection. But what you're really doing is removing the intrigue. You're removing the pull. Because if someone already has you figured out, if there's nothing left to learn, then the chase is gone. And when the chase is gone, the attraction fades. But a detached man is different. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't overextend. He doesn't always make himself available at the snap of a finger. He lives his life. He moves with purpose, and he allows people to wonder. He allows space for curiosity. And that space is where attraction grows. Because people don't want what's handed to them on a silver platter. They want what feels rare. They want what feels earned. They want what they can't quite figure out. Think about it. When you finish a movie and the ending is obvious, you forget about it the next day. But when you finish a movie and the ending leaves you thinking, questioning, wanting more, you carry it with you. You talk about it, you revisit it. That's what mystery does. It makes something unforgettable. And when you detach, you become that man who isn't fully read in the first 5 minutes. You become that man who makes people want to turn the page, lean in closer, figure you out. Now I want you to ask yourself, are you giving too much of yourself too quickly? Are you always the one texting first, always the one over-explaining, always the one chasing for attention? If you are, you're killing the very thing that makes you attractive, because attraction lives in the unknown. It lives in the, what's he doing right now? What's on his mind? What's his next move? That's the pull. And a man who detaches, who doesn't feel the need to broadcast his every move, naturally creates that pull. And let's be clear, mystery isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's not about withholding love or affection. It's about balance. It's about not being so predictable that people take you for granted. It's about having your own life, your own space, your own purpose, so that the relationship doesn't consume all of you. When you detach, you're not ignoring people. You're reminding them that you are whole without them. And that wholeness is what keeps them coming back. Women, they feel this difference instantly. They can tell when a man has no life beyond them, when he's always waiting around, always available, always desperate for their attention. And while it might feel flattering for a moment, it doesn't inspire long-term attraction. But when they meet a man who has purpose, who has discipline, who has his own rhythm, who isn't always immediately accessible, they respect it, they lean in. They want to be part of that world because it feels like a privilege, not a guarantee. And here's the truth. When you create mystery, you don't just attract women, you attract respect everywhere. Employers, friends, peers, they all take notice. Because the man who isn't desperate to explain himself, the man who can sit in silence, the man who doesn't reveal everything at once, he commands attention without ever asking for it. His presence makes people wonder, what's he about? What's his story? And that curiosity keeps doors open. So I'll tell you this, stop giving yourself away too easily. Stop rushing to fill every silence. Stop thinking you have to prove your worth in every conversation. Stand back, hold a little, move with intention. Let people discover you over time. Because when they have to lean in to figure you out, when they can't predict your every move, when they sense there's more to you than what's on the surface, you'll find they won't want to leave. Because mystery, real mystery, doesn't push people away. It pulls them closer, it makes them invest more. It makes them respect you more. It makes them attracted to you in ways you don't even have to work for. So let me ask you, are you going to keep giving yourself away too quickly? Or are you ready to stand tall, hold your ground, and let mystery work in your favor? A man who learns detachment doesn't just attract women. He attracts opportunities. And that's what makes this so powerful. Because the same energy that keeps you from chasing people also keeps you from chasing desperation in every other part of life. You stop begging for attention, you stop lowering your standards, and you stop trying to force things that don't fit. Instead, you wait for what matches your value, and that shift changes everything. See, too many men are not only chasing relationships, they're chasing jobs they hate, friendships that drain them, lifestyles that don't even match who they are. And why? Because of fear. Fear of missing out, fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough. And that fear drives them into situations where they accept less than they deserve. But when you detach, when you step back and say, I will not chase what isn't aligned with me, suddenly your whole life starts to change. Because detachment puts you in a position of strength. It allows you to say no. It allows you to walk away from what isn't right. And every time you walk away from the wrong thing, you make space for the right thing to come in. That's how opportunities find you. Not when you're begging, not when you're forcing, but when you're standing tall in who you are, refusing to compromise your standards. Now think about this. Have you ever noticed how opportunities seem to show up for people who aren't even trying too hard? It looks like luck, but it's not luck. It's alignment. It's the result of discipline, self-respect, and patience, because people are drawn to someone who knows their worth. Employers see it, leaders see it, even strangers see it. That quiet confidence says, I don't need to chase you. I'll let what belongs to me come to me. And life responds to that energy. This is why detachment is bigger than dating. It's a mindset for everything. A detached man doesn't chase money. He builds value and lets money chase him. He doesn't chase attention. He works on himself and lets attention find him. He doesn't chase status. He commits to growth and lets status follow naturally. And when people see this kind of discipline, this kind of self-control, they want to be a part of it. They respect it. They admire it. They're drawn to it. Now let me make something clear. Detachment doesn't mean you don't work hard. It doesn't mean you sit back and wait for life to hand you blessings. No, you still grind. You still build. You still put in the effort. But here's the difference. You're not desperate for the outcome. You're not clinging to it like your life depends on it. You're not bending your integrity just to get it. You're doing the work, and you're letting the results flow when they're meant to. That's what makes people trust you, and that's what makes opportunities stick when they arrive. Let me put it this way. When you're desperate, you repel. When you're detached, you attract. When you beg, people back away. But when you stand firm in your worth, people lean in. That's true in love, in business, in friendships, in every part of life. Detachment makes you magnetic because you're not chasing what isn't yours. You're drawing in what matches you. Now ask yourself, how many doors have you been knocking on that were never meant to open? How many people have you been chasing who were never meant to stay? How much time and energy have you wasted trying to force things that don't fit? And how would your life look if you redirected all that energy back into yourself? If instead of begging, you built? If instead of chasing, you stood still and let what belongs to you show up on its own? Because here's the truth. When you stop running after everything, you give space for the right things to run towards you. And that's when your life begins to transform. Suddenly the jobs that align with your purpose appear. Suddenly the friends who uplift you show up. Suddenly the relationship that matches your value comes into view. That's not coincidence, that's the reward of detachment. And this is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Ordinary men spend their lives chasing love, chasing approval, chasing money. Extraordinary men spend their lives building character, building value, building vision. And because they detach from desperation, the world can't help but chase them in return. So I'll ask you, are you going to keep lowering your standards, keep chasing what isn't meant for you? Or are you ready to detach, stand tall, and let the right opportunity start chasing you? Detachment isn't about ignoring love, it's about controlling yourself within it. Too many men get this twisted. They think detachment means shutting down, being cold, or refusing to care. But that's not strength, that's fear in disguise. Real strength is when you can love fully, give fully, and still hold on to yourself. When you can look at someone you care about and say, I choose you, but I don't depend on you for my peace. That's power. See, the danger in attachment is that it makes you cling. It makes you desperate. It makes you feel like you can't breathe without that person in your life. And when you hand someone that kind of control, you're no longer in love, you're in chains. You're at their mercy. Every mood, every decision, every move they make has the power to lift you or destroy you. And that's not healthy. That's not love, that's dependency. But a man who has learned detachment flips the script. He says, I can love you deeply, but I don't lose myself in the process. He knows how to give without expecting. He knows how to stay grounded even when emotions are high. He knows how to walk away when respect leaves the room. And women feel that. They feel the strength in a man who loves with open hands, not clenched fists. Because let me tell you, clinging kills attraction. The more you grip, the more you squeeze, the faster you push someone away. But when you can love without fear, when you can say, I'm with you because I choose to be, not because I need to be, that creates freedom. And freedom is what keeps attraction alive. Now think about it. Have you ever seen a man who loses himself in a relationship? He gives up his hobbies, his goals, his friendships, all in the name of love. At first, it might look romantic. But over time, that desperation drains the spark. Because love isn't about losing yourself. It's about bringing your whole self into it. And if you detach in the right way, you can give love without ever shrinking down. This is what makes detachment so magnetic. It communicates self-respect. It says, I know my worth and I won't compromise it just to hold on to you. That energy is powerful. It draws people closer instead of pushing them away. Because deep down, everyone wants a partner who chooses them, not one who depends on them for survival. Now let's be real. Detachment doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It doesn't mean walking away will be easy. It doesn't mean you won't ever care. But it does mean you'll be strong enough to handle it. You'll know how to stand even when your heart is heavy. You'll know how to walk forward even when it hurts. And that resilience, that ability to love without crumbling, that's what makes you unshakable. And here's the part most people miss. Detachment doesn't kill love. It makes it deeper. Because when you detach from fear, from need, from control, you're free to love purely. You're not loving because you're scared to be alone. You're loving because you truly choose that person. And that choice day after day is what makes love real. So when I say women are attracted to men who detach, I'm not saying women want men who don't care. I'm saying they're drawn to men who know how to care without losing themselves. Men who can stand tall in love, but still stand tall alone. Men who can give their heart, but keep their backbone. That's the kind of love that doesn't suffocate, it inspires. And I'll leave you with this. Detachment is not the absence of love. It's the presence of power. It's the ability to walk away if respect is gone. It's the strength to stay grounded no matter how strong your feelings are. It's the freedom to love without fear. And that kind of energy doesn't just attract, it lasts. So let me ask you, are you going to keep clinging and losing yourself? Or are you ready to step into the kind of love where you can give fully, stand firmly, and never let go of who you are? And so when you look at it all, it comes down to this. Detachment isn't about walking away from love. It's about walking into yourself. It's about standing on solid ground no matter who's standing beside you. Because when you're unshaken, when you're calm, when you're grounded, you don't have to chase anything, it comes to you. Respect comes to you. Love comes to you. Opportunities come to you. The man who learns detachment doesn't lose connection. He gains it. He gains clarity. He gains freedom. He gains attraction that lasts because it's built on strength, not desperation. So I challenge you tonight, don't just hear these words, live them. Don't just nod your head, test them. The next time you feel like clinging, pause. The next time you feel fear creeping in, breathe. The next time you want to prove your worth, remember, you already have it. Because the truth is, you don't need to chase what's meant for you. You just need to be strong enough, calm enough, grounded enough to let it come. And when you do that, you'll find not only are women drawn to you, but life itself starts moving in your direction.